Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Premier Sim Gaming League's YouTube channel. It is time now. We've had the mid-season break, and it's time to get firmly stuck into the second half of this championship. Welcome to Zandvoort here in Netherlands, the nationality of current Formula 1 champion Max Verstappen, as well as many members of the PSGL community, and of course that includes the very best in Jarno Watmere. This place hosts round 9 of the PSGL Season 30 PlayStation F7 Championship here tonight, and we should be in for a very good race indeed. My name is Jake Warrior. I'll be guiding you through the action tonight, and you can already see the first few cars getting ready to make their way onto this 2.6 mile track. 14 turns make up this venue that went back onto the calendar last year in real life. 4 corners to the left, 10 to the right, 14 in total. Probably most famous for its banked corners at turn 3, and of course the final corner that leads you out onto the main straight, and of course turn 1 being the best overtaking spot. Let's get onto the track and let's see who is out there. Now, I was going to mention some important information ahead of this race, as we do have some stewards investigations that took place last time out, and as a result there are some consequences. Now, Alberto there, to my knowledge at least, this might be corrected afterwards, but I believe he's meant to have a qualifying ban. So this could already be a potential issue, because as you can see, he's out on the track. Maybe he's going out to just load his setup on and then he's going to come into the pits, we shall see. But yeah, if he does a lap, then I don't believe that's what he should be doing. He also has a 5-second penalty that will be added to his race time, so kind of a double whammy in effect for Alberto. He's already very much up against it early on into this event before we've even really started. Let's see, does he go into the pits? No, he's going for a lap, so that could potentially be a bit of an issue. Could potentially mean that he has a qualifying ban at another venue probably next week. Let's follow Bo on his lap in the AlphaTauri and see what he can do. First few drivers, just get a feel for this track. Expect pole time probably to be in the 1:09 is what I'm expecting. Somewhere in the 1:09, so that's really what you're looking for a competitive benchmark as Bo winds his way through the middle part of this lap. It's a very fluent sort of section of the track. The corners all hook up together quite nicely, but if you make one mistake it could easily cost you. We had a McLaren facing the wrong way there. That's Smalley, the championship leader, comfortably as well, but that's a spin he's had there on his medium tyre run. Hopefully that didn't affect Bo too much. It's a solid if unspectacular middle sector time up to now. And now coming up towards the final few corners, Mosey sets the benchmark on the mediums, a 1:10.8. Like I said, expect the pole time to be about over a second quicker than that once we get to the real nitty gritty of qualifying. Bo crosses a line. Does he beat that 1:10.8? He does not. So maybe slightly held up there by the car that was spinning behind him. Leroy goes into the 1:09 then, so that's more on the pace we were expecting. 1:09.9. Bas Bremer heading to the line now. Can he beat that time? Nobody slots into second, 1:10.2, so time's just starting to come in nicely. Got a 15 car grid this evening, a few absentees, but still plenty of good racing ahead of us. In terms of the championship standings at the moment, Smalley leads away on 90 points. He's got a 32 point advantage over Raggy, who is currently second. And speaking of second, that's exactly where Harman's just put his Aston Martin. And then you've got kind of a bit of a gap after that back to Wrench in third, and then you've got Leroy in fourth and Luca completing the top 5. But you'd have to say, even though there's still 6 rounds to go, Smalley's definitely in a very good position to win this championship. He just needs to keep putting together the results, which is what he's been doing. He actually inherited the race win from 2 weeks ago at Spa. He didn't cross the line, he didn't get the win at the time, but he got some penalties removed after the event, which enabled him to take the win outright, and helped increase what was already quite a commanding championship lead. Raggy got second in backup to his 3 wins before that. Speaking of Smalley, he's done a lap on the mediums, 1:11.0. Probably medium tyres not in the best condition after that spin, and it was his second lap on them. As Luca goes at 5th. A lot of drivers doing early runs on medium tyres here. We usually see a few drivers do that, in the early stages, but not as many as this. Got a lot of drivers in the pits at the moment as well. Like Alberto's currently in 4th, but like I said earlier, I'm not sure he should have been out on track. So we'll see what comes out of that one. Lap record from here set in by Lewis Hamilton last year on a 1:11.0. Of course, it had to be from last year. And yeah, to be fair, the lap time's not too much quicker than that at this time, which is quite rare. Usually, the real life times compared to the times on the game are usually a few seconds apart. So quite an interesting one there. Let's follow the Architect, who's out on medium tyres again. Just no one at the moment really pushing the limits too much, other than Leroy, you would say. Just to let you know as well, this race is sponsored by Grid Rival, a new Formula 1 Fantasy League game that has unmatched research tools, simple team management with a new contract system, detailed performance data, and loads of engaging social features. Be sure to head over and join our PSGL League on Grid Rival by using the affiliate link in the description below. As the Architect winds up for a lap, you can see the sort of drop off between the soft tyre runners and the medium tyre runners at the moment. But there's still, I think, a lot of time to come from some of the guys out here. To let you know as well, McLaren are actually leading the constructors as well by 28 points. But it's worth noting that all but 9 points of those have been collected by Smalley. His teammate Zach isn't here this evening. But it just shows how much Smalley has been a dominant force in this tier. He's winning the constructors by himself, as well as the drivers' championship. So. And he's not, you wouldn't say he's outright the quickest from every single week, but he just seems to keep ending up at the sharp end, keep putting together consistent race performances that have enabled him to have this quite substantial championship lead. Round 9, there's still another 6 rounds to go, as I mentioned before. Next week we go to Brazil, and we've still got trips to Mexico, Singapore, USA, and Italy before we end the season at Bahrain, which is going to be around the middle of May. So still a long way to go here. The Architect doesn't really, I wouldn't say it's looking like he's pushing to too much of an extent. It might just be a smooth driving style that's catching me out, because it looks like a pretty decent lap. Mosey's gone into 2nd place in the Alfa Romeo, a 1:09.9. So another driver finding their way into the 1:9s. What can the Architect do on the medium tyre? He'll be aiming to get probably around where Luca is, because that's the quickest medium tyre lap we've had so far, and he does go into 8th. Not bad, a 1:10.8. It's around what you'd expect for a medium tyre lap. Bo is slowing down, so he must have had an issue on his run. And let's follow Renge, currently 3rd place in the championship, and as he goes for his first lap on the soft tyre. Winding his way up through the curves now towards turn number 7 now. Very easy to get that wrong if you just take too much curb, and then into turn 8, which is sort of a medium speed corner that prepares you for turn 9. Turn 10 is all about, I would say it's more about the exit than the entry. You want to get in that throttle as early as possible to get you the best slingshot onto this second DRS zone, and heading now down towards turn 11. 12 comes at you straight away after 11. You really got to make sure you hook up the car nicely. And then coming up to a penultimate corner, there's a hash just in front of him and gets out of the way just in time. And then now it's just all about slamming the throttle down and taking it to the line to see what the lap time does for you. Wrench coming up to the line. It looks like a pretty solid lap, and it puts him up into P3 on a 1:10.2. Not too bad. Let's follow Raggy. He's not been out on track as yet. A few drivers keeping it calm in the pits, not going out too early. He's been one of them. Of course, winner of 3 of the last 4 races. And as well as that, he finished 2nd last week. So he's really been on a strong run of form recently. He'll be looking to keep that up. As Alberto there goes quickest, quite controversially, you have to say, considering I don't think he should be in the qualifying session at all. But I'm sure that will go back to the stewards. I'll see what Raggy can do then. Down the second DRS zone, preparing to brake into turn 11. Spot the braking zone just before the 50-metre board. Ooh, would have say probably a little bit away from the optimum line, you would say there. We know how quick he is. Again, just a bit of understeer. Car just washing out a little bit. I'm sure that's something he'll want to address. He comes up to a line. I doubt this is going to be good enough for pole. Yeah, it's a 1:10.1. We've just seen a ton of lap times come in. You can see how close it's just got. He's just pipped Smalley into P6, but there's more time in there because there's no doubt about it. The car was probably far too understeer for his liking. As for Leroy, was on provisional pole. He's had it taken away by Alberto, but he's on a better lap. Only slightly better, it has to be said. But is it good enough to take that pole position? Leroy up to the line then. No, he lost a bit of time again. I thought he was a little bit wide in 13, which would have compromised his run down the straight. Just trying to see if we've got anyone out on a lap right now. Sick Boy, I believe, has just started a lap. So we'll follow him round. Let's go on the broadcast view with some beautiful crests around this track. It's a beautiful place to watch the cars go around. And we'll see what Sick Boy can make of it here. He's, like I said, he's probably not. He's the last one to set a provisional lap time. Has just been hanging about in the pit. So when there was a bit of traffic there, you would have to say, on his lap. Still got the Ferrari, I believe, that is in front of him. Oh, but it doesn't matter because he's got into the wall. Power down far too early on exit of turn 10. The rear end couldn't live with it, and he spins into the barrier. And that's going to be a trip back to the pits. So, you know, playing it cool in the pits, but he may just be thinking at this current stage maybe that he just hung around the pits a bit too long, because he's now very much under pressure. Only 5.5 minutes left of qualifying, and he hasn't got a representative lap time in yet. Mosey with a slightly better first sector, and he doesn't need much to take provisional pole back. How's he looking? Oh, it's very, very close at the moment. Just very few thousandths in it between him and his current PB. Mosey has been one of those drivers who you would have to say he got his best result last week in the top 5, but you have to say he hasn't really matched the qualifying pace up with his race pace. He needs to be more consistent in the races, but that is a very nice lap time and puts him back into P1. Nicely done indeed. That's a 1:09.9. Still very small margins at the front of the grid, as you would expect. But it's Mosey who's taken provisional pole back. His teammate for the evening, the Architect, and also a very, very late lobby host. So I guess thank you to him for sorting that out at short notice, especially as I believe he only just got added to the league not too long ago. He's actually still a reserve. Actually, no, I don't believe. No, he's actually full-time driver now in that Alfa Romeo. But even so, nevertheless, a very, very handy last-minute lobby host with Raggy's game updating. Architect then up to the line. This has looked like a better lap from him, and it's up into the top 10, into P8 for now on a 1:10.8. And actually, the two Alfa Romeos are the only cars out on track at the moment. We've got 4 minutes of a session to go, and Smalley is back out there, so we'll go with him. Really has been a dominating force here in F7 this season, you have to say. 90 points he's accumulated over the 8 races so far, which is 32 more than his nearest rival, which at this stage of the season is quite a commanding race, quite a commanding advantage to have. That's effective 2 race wins with a PSGL point system. You get 16 for a win, so he's in effect 2 races clear of his nearest challenger. You would have to say, at the moment at least, it would take a monumental collapse for him to not win the championship from here, but this is racing, you never know what can happen. He's got 3 wins to his name, 5 podiums. His only time he's been outside the top 4 was back in Silverstone at round 2. He's been in the top 4 every race apart from that. Quite astonishing consistency. But as I mentioned earlier, qualifying pace hasn't been his forte. You know, he's not someone who tends to stick it on the pole position. It's been his racecraft and just general race pace and consistency that's put him in this position. But we'll see nevertheless if he can improve on what will probably be his last attempt in qualifying. He's done this a bit early. We'll see what he can do. Round turn 1 we go. There's a bit of traffic, some drivers leaving it late to do their final runs, but they all keep nicely out of his way and into the bank turn 3. Pretty narrow entry point. Oh, car wiggling a bit on exit, but he gathers it up nicely. We'll see how the first sector was affected by that moment. He's just under a tenth of a second up. Looks beautiful through 6, you have to say. And now through the middle part of this lap, and now into turn 9. And this is where, of course, we saw Sick Boy lose it earlier on in this qualifying session on exit. His eagerness to get on the throttle, no such problems for Smalley as he heads now down towards turn 11. Yellow flags as people prepare for their final laps. This isn't a massive improvement, it has to be said, at the moment for Smalley. He might have been hoping for that a little bit more, but we'll see nevertheless as he goes up towards the line. Oh, he proper rang it out on the exit there. He was P7. What's this going to do for him? Taking the shortest run to the line, and it is a 10-0, puts him up to 5th, but it's not going to be good enough to start in the top few positions this week for him, unless he's saved enough for another lap. No improvement's going to happen for Brayman. Will go on board with Harmon, who I believe is also backed off, so we'll try and find someone else who might be on a lap. Wrench has just started his. We've got an improvement there. I believe that's Appenvet up to P7 of the runners, so we'll want to improve if he can. Oh, that's very wide. Nearly an invalidation and nearly just off the line in general. Wouldn't have done him much good potentially. We shall see. Through turn 10 now. Onto that second DRS straight. How's Bo's lap time looking? It's not great. To be honest, I think we're going to go with Sick Boy to see what he can manage. Alberto Vega's back onto pole position at 109.8. Sick Boy is not improving. Wrench then through a final corner.